Hey guys, it's Christine, also known as IvyWinter. Thank you for joining me for another Disney video. This is the flip side of my last video about the best rides to do when solo, which I said was inspired by a question that came to the TTA podcast. If you don't know what that is, Rob and I have a podcast where we talk about Disney stuff. As if talking on our channels isn't enough, we need to talk more about it every week together. The original question was what is, the best and worst rides for a solo experience, and I wanted to expand a little bit more on that because I think there's multiple answers there for sure. So today we're going to talk about the worst rides to do when you're alone, and by worst I mean maybe not the most comfortable experience, maybe not the easiest to get on, just the ones that I have found in my experience have not been my favorite when I am by myself. The first one is boat rides, so things like Pirates, Frozen Ever After, Navi River Journey, Small World, anything where you're in a boat and they kind of just fill in rows that way. I have never actually been seated with people in my row in a boat when I'm usually by myself, which is very interesting that they choose to do it that way. But what I don't like about that is you super stand out. So if you are in a row by yourself, just feels very obvious when you're getting loaded that like you're just you in your own row and then everyone else is packed into these rows, and here you are like in the Pirates, like this huge row all by yourself. There's something kind of awkward about it for me. I do find that I tend to get front row on boat rides as a single rider a lot, which you would think would be a perk, but again, it feels weird because that's always by myself. Like I'm always the only person in the front row, and then I'm like, oh cool, these people must hate me right now because it's just me. I'm taking up the whole front row. They don't get to have a front row view. I get the front row view, and they all have to sit behind me. I don't know. I feel maybe it's like a weird guilt complex. Boat rides are just weird to me in that sort of scenario. I mean, Jungle Cruise even the same. Even though you're not in your own row, you're kind of packed in with other people, and like, I don't know. It's a little bit of a different vibe when you're not kind of laughing along with friends and it's just you. But that's just me and like how I feel about people noticing that I'm alone. Obviously, the more that I've gone solo, the more I've kind of gotten over it. But definitely something that, if that is something that makes you feel uncomfortable, boat rides are a little weird. This next one was actually Rob's answer on the podcast, but I 100% agree with it, and it's Mission Space. Mission Space is like one of those rides where you're not really gonna get put on with another solo rider. You're gonna be in a very tiny cramped space with other people and other parties that you don't know. And I find that you can't really, like I've never been in a scenario where I've been able to really like joke around and have fun with people, or like, I don't know, it's just a weird situation to be cramped in this really claustrophobic ride with people that you just don't know. And it's almost like rare that you're even gonna get groups of like not three with you, so it's like those three people know you and then you're the standalone. It's just, I love Mission Space, you guys know I love Mission Space, and I'll still always ride it even when I'm by myself, but I have to like prepare myself for that awkwardness of being just in close quarters with three people who seem to know each other and don't know me. It's kind of weird. And then the next two, one more so than the other for me, but they both kind of play into each other, is Toy Story Midway Mania and Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger Spin. Toy Story Midway Mania for sure, because it's just not as fun without people that you know. You can get a whole car side to yourself, but that one specifically is really hard to man both of the different guns. Buzz Lightyear, I put a tier down because it's pretty easy to shoot with both hands on those things, but with Toy Story Midway Mania, you need two hands basically to do what you need to do. So you would have to hop from one to the other if you're trying to do both. It's kind of pointless. You might as well just focus on your own score. But it's not as fun to me to not have someone I know sitting next to me and being competitive, or like trying to hit certain special targets together, because obviously there's things that when you work together as two people you can actually get more points. Like all of that kind of goes out the window when you're by yourself. And I mean, some people like to compete against themselves and their own high scores. Totally get that if that's your jam. I think Toy Story Midway Mania is definitely a very social attraction. Like there's something about not only with the person next to you, but if you know the whole car and then you get out and you're like, okay, who had the top score? Like, who was that? You know, you don't get that when you're by yourself. So I actually kind of avoid it usually when I am solo. Buzz at your space for your spin, again, I think is more fun with another person that you know. Though, like I said, if you wanted to man both guns, I see people do it all the time. They sit in the middle and they do both, but again, I'd rather be competitive against someone I know than trying to be competitive against myself. But that's just me. Like, some people love that idea of like hopping in and just trying to best their own personal high score, and more kudos to you if that's your jam. That's kind of it for what I think are the worst this solo. My best attractions as a solo rider video is definitely longer, because I think that there are actually quite a few that are great. It's hard for me to think of too many that I don't think are good experiences or as good experiences alone. Yeah, I feel like most of them are pretty good. I guess Tash Track, again, because of that competitiveness, it's fun to compete against people I know than random people in my car. Like, there was one time I built a car that was like just destroying everybody, but it was just like awkward because it's like, okay, but I'm by myself and I don't know anyone else in this car and I'm not gonna gloat about it, you know? So I think it's more fun to build a car with friends as well. I mean, it's nice when you can make your own car. Don't get me wrong, that's cool. You have like full control over it. But I've always had fun kind of just messing around with one or two other people at the same time. So I guess that would be my only other one that maybe I would throw in, kind of in a similar vein of Toys for Midway Mania, that competition, that like, I don't know, it's kind of nicer when you have people you know with you. But other than that, it's really hard pressed to think of much else that isn't as fun or the same by yourself, which I think is really a testament to how much fun you can have at Disney by yourself. And I've been saying this for years now. You know, I went on my first solo trip, gosh, I can't remember what year it was now, 2016 possibly, and never really looked back. It's been so much fun. So I think, if anything, the good news from this video is there's very few things that I think will make you feel awkward or uncomfortable or won't be as fun. And 95% of the attractions at Disney are still gonna be great by yourself. But I would like to know in the comments below, are there attractions that you avoid or don't really like doing by yourself, and why? What is the reason that makes you kind of think, not my favorite thing solo? Let me know. If you like this video, then like it. If you like me, you should subscribe and make videos every single week. I appreciate you guys watching. What a whirlwind of a year. I wish I could be down there vlogging, you guys. I really do, like all the time. But you know, it is what it is right now. And hopefully, you know, I'll feel good enough to do it sometime soon. But until then, I appreciate you tuning in to my other thoughts and planning, because I'm going crazy, missing the park so much. Thank you so much for watching. And as always, have a great rest of the day. Bye.